So I would like to introduce the next person who will introduce our second speaker today, Davida. Davida D. Kinchin. She's a real estate development and contracts manager with the Fort Wayne Housing Authority. Davida is a native of Fort Wayne and a graduate of Indiana University Bloomington with a bachelor degree in finance, a licensed Indiana real estate broker with certifications in rental housing development and nonprofit management. She assists individuals achieve the dream of homeownership, as well as aiding in the revitalization of the city of Fort Wayne. And this has been very rewarding to her. Davida has received community involvement awards from Parkview Trauma and Fort Wayne's Victims Assistance Against Violence. She has been a facilitator at Aaron's House for Grieving Children, and she also appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show as a result of her passion to encourage individuals to stand. And that is spelled S-T-A-N-D-D. It's an acronym for Stop Texting and Driving Distracted. Davida hopes to save lives. And so here is my friend, my sister, Davida Kinchin.
Good morning, good morning. Good morning again. Positive affirmation. What a beautiful talk by Mrs. McDonald. So you'll appreciate this. Are you aware? Angela LaSalle, MD, American Board of Integrative Medicine, is the medical director of Parkview Physicians Group Integrative Medicine for Parkview Health System in Fort Wayne, Indiana. She is a graduate of Indiana University School of Medicine and board certified in family medicine. Dr. LaSalle was one of only 121 integrative medicine physicians nationally to obtain the inaugural certification through the American Board of Integrative Medicine, and has studied with Andrew Well, MD, and University of Arizona, the Institute for Functional Medicine, and the Metabolic Medicine Institute. Dr. LaSalle also has 2 degrees in nursing, and prior to her medical career, worked as an RN in surgery and burn unit. She is an author and frequent keynote speaker on the topics of thyroid issues, hormone imbalances, autoimmunity, and the role of nutritional and inflammatory diseases. When I was asked to introduce Dr. LaSalle, it touched my heart tremendously. As an individual that's searching within and trying to get to the root cause of some issues that were, medicine was just being thrown at me. And it was just such a blessing when I had the opportunity to introduce. So the great, extraordinary Dr. LaSalle.
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you, Davida. And thanks to all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here today. And I just want to tell each and every one of you what a blessing you are to me and what an answer to prayer each and every one of you are today. So as we were preparing for this event, it touched my heart to think about the message to share with you today. And so in forming this talk, I wanted to bring to you some of the lessons from my experience as a physician and also as an entrepreneur. It's been a long journey to form this integrative medicine program here at a health system. There were a lot of people that said it couldn't be done, But thank you to Parkview Health System for being creative and being entrepreneurial and open to allowing us to bring this to the Fort Wayne community. So we're very thankful for that. We're very thankful for the opportunity to talk to you today about becoming a woman of wonder. It's kind of finding your wow. So let's jump in. The question everyone asks, and I like this slide because it's a great graphic, of what's the difference between integrative medicine and traditional medicine? Well, integrative medicine focuses a lot more on lifestyle, and it brings other tools into your toolbox to help to achieve balance and a sense of improved well-being. And health can take on a lot of definitions for each of us, and each of us have our own picture of what it looks like to be healthy, don't we? And so sometimes that picture doesn't match our reality of what we think we should be, right? This wonderful Zen mom, and the children are all getting what they need from the kitchen. The husband's off to work. We're getting ready for work ourselves. We're ready to own the day, right? But is that really our reality? Looks more like this, right? Whose morning looked like that? A few hands here, absolutely. So oftentimes what we think about and what is happening are two different things. So today I want to share with you some ideas to try to get out of our heads, back into our bodies, and back into our power to move forward with some better habits. Inside a woman's head is a very dangerous place. So this is a typical morning, right? We wake up, and as soon as we wake up, the brain starts to chatter, right? And we're thinking about all of these things. We're thinking about, oh, we've got to get little Billy off to school, and oh, I forgot his permission slip, and oh, I forgot to put the apple in the kid's lunch, and oh, I need to drop my husband's shirts off at the dry cleaner. Oh, I forgot to send that email that my boss wanted me to send, right? Starts instantly. Men and women are very different. Men get up and say, oh, great morning. I think I'll have oatmeal for breakfast. Right? Isn't that annoying? How do they get away with that, right? Chronic stress is a major, major health crisis. Not just on a personal level, but on a national level, on an international level. Our world is becoming faster. It's becoming more difficult to disconnect. And how do we manage all of the information that's coming at us and all the things that we have to deal with? And the body gets overwhelmed. We're in chronic fight or flight. And so some of the consequences of chronic stress, in the body, headache, fatigues, body aches, sleep issues, in our emotions and our mind, difficulty concentrating, mood issues, feeling very anxious, worrying, can't sleep. Our accident rates go up, our productivity goes down, we're more prone to infections. There's a lot of things that happen in our body when we're chronically stressed. We were not meant to be in fight or flight all the time, but yet, how many of us, at least once a day, get our tail feathers pulled about something, right? At least once a day. Sometimes 10, 15, 20 times a day. A bad phone call from your mom, the kid got in trouble at school, our husband was upset about something, you get the check engine light came on in the car. There's always something, right? Always something that we're balancing. So, what's in our way of getting down to managing this and to improving our sense of well-being? Well, first and foremost, love this quote, once you realize that you are the only person holding yourself back, you'll stop making excuses and start making changes. Now, that's kind of a harsh statement, isn't it? You say, well, but that's not taking into account my work schedule and what I have to do for the kids, and I have to spend time with my husband, and the church group needs this, and I need to do this for school. You just don't understand. And I hear this a lot. Dr. LaSalle, you just don't understand how busy I am. You just don't understand that my husband won't eat the diet that you're recommending for me. He wants meat and potatoes, and the kids want their chips and their sandwiches and pizza. And I can't. I just can't. Elizabeth, I love you. You could not have given a better introduction to what we're going to talk about here today. The power of words. What are you saying to yourself? I can't. Oh, I couldn't do that. I couldn't start my own business. I could never do that. I don't have the skill sets to do this. You know, I really want to change careers, but I don't know that I'd be successful over there. You know, I'd really like to maybe work with this group over here, but I don't know if I have the time. I'm scared to do that. Fear kills more dreams than failure ever will. Ever. It's time for us as women to start honoring our creativity and what we bring to the table. Not just in business, because we're all here, this is a business seminar. Not just in business, but in life. In creating a life that is fulfilling and exciting, and at the end of it, you go, yeah, guess what all I got to do? I did that. I created that. So don't be afraid to create something to be proud of, and something that is uniquely yours. Each and every one of us have been fearfully and wonderfully made. And each of us have our own divine purpose and reason for being here, and a reason for being here today. And that's why I say that you're an answer to prayer for me, because my prayer always is that the people who need to hear the message are with me at the time that it's given. That's the one request I always have going into any kind of conference or presentation. It's like, God, please let the people who are there be the ones that need to hear this. Trust yourself. As women, we don't trust ourselves very much, do we? We might suspect that we have some skills for things, but who's the first person to tell us, oh, no, I really can't do that? I think I would like to make this move, but I don't know if I can. I don't know. I don't have the skill set. We're always deferring to somebody else, right? We're always handing things off to somebody else. And Benjamin Spock, how many of you are old enough to remember who Benjamin Spock is? Okay, I do. I remember my mom's very dog-eared book on childcare from Dr. Benjamin Spock, the pediatrician. Other people's opinions. We are so worried about what everybody else thinks. Guess what? In their internal dialogue, they're worried about what everybody else in their universe thinks. They're not even thinking about you. Isn't that great? That's the good news. There's very few people that you need to impress. But most importantly, the people that you need to decide the people that you answer to. Who do you answer to? God, yourself, those people that you've made lifetime commitments to? Beyond that, who's pulling your strings? Who are you allowing to pull your strings in a way that is causing you to back down from who you really are? And that's a really important question, isn't it? And I'm sharing with you some things that in insights. Thankfully, about 80% of my patient population happens to be female. And that's just a wonderful blessing to be able to hear the stories of our sisterhood. and get in there and help people work through some of these things. And so what I'm sharing is things that I've heard over and over and over. How many have been on an airplane in the last 5 years? Okay, a lot of people, right? What does that lovely stewardess stand up in front and say to you? Put on your own oxygen mask before attempting to help others, right? Why is that? Well, medically, it's because if the cabin depressurizes, you might only have a few seconds to be able to get an airflow before somebody might lose consciousness. And if you have a chance to be of any benefit to anybody else, you need to put your oxygen mask on first. So there's a very practical reason. But sisters, you cannot minister to others from an empty cup. You cannot. Stop trying to save the world. Take a look at what's going on in your own universe and understand that the cog in the wheel of the fabric of life that you are, the people that are in front of you, yourself, are the people that are most important. You are the most important resource that you have. And if you do not take care of yourself, you will not be there to take care of others. You'll have diminished capacity. You'll be chronically stressed. You'll be exhausted, and there's nothing left. And you will, at some point, hit the wall. You will. And many of us have been there, done that. I've seen a lot of nodding going on. So many of us have been there, done that. Okay? So, life will always give us obstacles. It'll always put negative people in front of us, problems to solve. But ultimately, the only person that stops you is you. What are you telling yourself? And this is why Elizabeth's presentation was so critical. And I love the way God moves with that. That was not planned. This was not planned. We did not have a conversation about this presentation, but it could not be a better segue. Pictures are powerful, aren't they? Words are powerful, and so are pictures. And this is why I've chosen to put a lot of pictures in my presentation. Because we all relate to this, don't we? That looking in the mirror and thinking, oh, I look awful. There's some wrinkles, and my makeup looks horrible, and I look tired, and I just don't feel good about myself. I'm too fat. I'm too frumpy. This dress looks awful on me. How many negative things do we say to ourselves? As Elizabeth pointed out, 70% of our internal dialogue is negative, and 98% of that gets repeated. Did I get the stats right? I was listening. That's a lot of negativity, folks. And did all of you experience the weakness that happened when you said, I can't, on the arm testing? Isn't that powerful? Your neurologic system and your cells, your trillions of cells, are listening to every word that you say. That's exciting, and it's scary, right? Some of these scripts have been programmed. People say things to us. Oh, that was a stupid thing to do. Oh, you're an idiot. Oh, wow. You could lose a little weight there. Well, Angela's not so good at math. Med school might be hard. She's not so good at math. She'll never get accepted. Well, thank you, Lord. IU did not have a math requirement. For some reason, I'm not good at math. I'm not good at math classes. I do fine. You give me an equation in a chemistry class or a physics class, no problem. You can put me in an algebra class and you can forget it. It's Greek, all right? So we all have our talents and skills, but we have to kind of flow around the obstacles, right? And find a way when we have something that we're passionate about. But this is why we have to be careful. We have to be very careful what we say. We have to be careful what we say to our children, to our spouses, to our coworkers, in building that culture. But most importantly, we have to be very, very kind and very careful about what we say to ourselves. It's absolutely critical. So I will challenge each of you over the weekend and into next week. Just pay attention. Pay attention to how many times you make a negative statement to yourself. These are common things that we say. Oh, I did a horrible job on that presentation. Oh, this was just so useless. Why did I do this? This was so useless. Has anyone seen the Wheel of Wellness and done the exercise of setting intentions and looking at how well you're doing in each of these areas, spiritually, emotionally, career-wise, socially? So the Wheel of Wellness, right? And we're supposed to be good in all of these areas. Well, unfortunately, I have to say my wheel looks a little bit more like this some days. A little flat on one side, all right? A little broken, a little busted, right? And that's the truth of the matter. We have very high expectations. I think that Wheel of Wellness makes us think that we have to be 100% in each of those areas every day. Every day. Well, guess what? It doesn't happen like that. The other issue is an issue of personal integrity. And when we think of the word integrity, we think about being honest in our dealings with others, right? But what about being honest in our dealings with ourselves? What does that look like? And this is an interesting concept, and we'll talk a little later about how we can leverage this a little bit more. But do you keep your commitments to yourself? Do you say that you're going to do something and follow through with that? It's interesting. In working with clients, I hear a lot of, well, that was a bad day on my food diary, and that's not really how I eat at home, and I've only been exercising maybe once a week, but I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week, and I'm doing this, but I didn't follow through with that. How many times do you put yourself so far down on your to-do list that you can't even keep your own commitments to yourself? How many times does that happen? And that's a huge health risk. It is huge. We always try to do the best that we can. And when we know better, we do better, right? When we know better, we do better. So part of this is helping people to be aware of what it is that they're saying and doing. And we're going to give you some ideas on how to follow through with this. We're going to make some breakthroughs here. Because this health risk of this negative internal dialogue and this lack of focusing on self, we're set up for this as women. We're the caretakers, we're the nurturers, we're the mommies, right? We're the wives and the mothers and the daughters. And we get pulled so many different directions between our families, between our jobs, between aging parents. We have so many responsibilities. How do we do this? How can we do this and be successful? There's so much. Well, first of all, my dear queens, it doesn't matter if your tiara is upside down. This is a no judgment zone, okay? The first thing is to take the judgment off of it. I love the musician Yanni because of his thoughts about creativity. And one thing that he says is that you cannot create and judge at the same time. If you're judging something, if you're in the judgment zone, if you're evaluating and picking it apart, you're not creating. You have to let it flow out of you. You can edit it later. And any good writer, if you've ever attempted to write something, the best thing to do is just spit it out. We can edit later, right? So the first thing that we need to do is put down the judgment. It doesn't matter how we got here. What matters is that we're being aware, and we're going to make a difference in our lives. The next key thing is self-compassion. You've been through a lot. Each and every one of us have a story. We have a beautiful story of trials and tribulations and successes and failures and this worked, this didn't work. I've been here, I've been there. In just building this business here with Parkview, I've been very blessed to be involved in building multiple businesses. Some of those went the way that I expected, and some of them didn't. And that's okay, but it gave me a skill set. It gave me lessons and things that I could apply to my next opportunity. But compassion for others begins with kindness to ourselves. And self-compassion, mindful self-compassion, is absolutely key in being successful in your wellness and your sense of well-being. Stop being so hard on yourself. The next concept, whether in business or in life, how many of you are business leaders, responsible for budgets and all those kinds of things? Okay, quite a few of you. And you probably know very well that you cannot control what you can't measure, right? That's where those awful reports at the end of the month come so handy, right? We don't like doing them. We don't like looking at the statistics, but we really can't change anything that we're not measuring and actively looking at and evaluating, can we? So that means, yeah, okay, we're gonna have to jump on the scale. We're gonna have to check our blood pressure, maybe get our cholesterol checked, take a look at the numbers, meet with our physician, kind of get the view of where we are now. And you can't take a journey unless you know where you are, right? Because you have to know where you are, and then you have to envision where you're going to, and then make a path to make up the difference, right? So that means maybe grabbing a notebook and writing down what it is that you want to accomplish. Now, this works in business, and it works in relationships, and it also works in your health. This is wonderful. We could not have built the integrative medicine program without doing a vision map. Does everybody know what a vision map is? Some? I see some nods, some hands. So a vision map is, where do you see yourself in X amount of time? What does that look like? What does it feel like? And it's about finding your why. Why do I want to do this? And I heard a good phrase recently. It says, find a why that makes you cry. Find something that's so deep that it catches you, it leverages you. So with a health goal, this might be something like, well, everybody comes in and says, well, why are you here today? Well, I want to feel better. Okay. I want to be healthy. What does that look like? What does that look like to you? And as a physician, we have our parameters. We say, okay, your BMI needs to be this, your blood pressure needs to be this, your cholesterol needs to be this. But you know what? That's not the benchmark. The VA is doing an interesting study right now. They're starting to pull integrative therapies into the VA system. So Tracy Gaudette is one of the lead physicians for the Veterans Administration, and she is changing the model of care. She's an integrative medicine doctor. Whew! So integrative medicine's grabbing onto the VA, which is awesome. They're bringing in things like mindfulness and acupuncture and massage and all these wonderful therapies to our veterans. But one thing that they're doing is they're having them meet with a peer coach. And the purpose of those meetings are to help the veteran find their why for wellness. And in her talk at the Integrative Consortium last spring, she showed this wonderful video, and it was all about these elderly gentlemen who were dreaming in their heads about how things used to be. They used to go on these motorcycle trips together, and they decided they were going to do it one last time. And so it shows them training for this, working out, eating well, talking and planning about it. And that was their definition of wellness, and they did it. And the elation when they were standing on the beach that they used to hang out with. And one gentleman had a photograph of his wife who had since departed, and they were honoring friends and sharing memories together. And they were alive. They had rejuvenated themselves. They had been sitting around in wheelchairs and in their rockers and not being very active until they decided they were going to take this on. And that was their definition of wellness, and that was their why. So I ask you, what is yours? And a great way to find your why is to do the 5 layers of questions. Why do I want to be healthy? Write that answer down. What is that going to do for me? Write that down. Why do I want that? Write that down. And after about 5 layers, you'll be surprised at what comes up. It might not have to do anything with your dress size. It might be, you know what, I want to be able to get down on the floor with the kids and get back up without my knees cracking. That's fitness. That's wellness to me. I want to be able to go to Disneyland and not get that awful thigh chafing that goes on, with walking in the hot park in shorts and, oh, isn't that uncomfortable, right? Right? We're girls. We can talk about these things. Actually, we're women. We're not girls. We're women. If you write things down, you're twice as likely to be successful. So you've already doubled your success rate if you write it down. So do your vision map. What is it that you want to accomplish? And folks, this works for anything. It works in your business life, it works in your financial life, it works in your relationships, and it can work for your health goals. You must have a plan. The other thing is, you put yourself on the top tier. This is about you. It's not about anybody else. This is not for anybody else. This is all about you. And until you value yourself, you will not value your time. And until you value your time, you won't do anything with it. So this business of I'm too busy, guess what? You don't value yourself enough to put yourself on your own calendar, right? And then this comes with the concept of personal integrity. Do you keep your appointments with yourself? Setting some time, just maybe even 30 extra minutes after you get home from the grocery store. Take those vegetables out of those grocery bags, wash them, chop them, have them in the fridge, have that little salad bar concept going in your refrigerator, because when you come home from work tired on Tuesday night and those vegetables are not washed and chopped, are you going to take the time to do that, or are you just going to order a pizza? Really? So it's about setting yourself up for success and making that plan. How am I going to do this? What's my skill set? What resources do I need? How am I going to do this? And if I need help with that, that's when you call in the experts, because we'll help you, okay? Wizard of Oz is one of my favorite movies. There's so many life lessons in The Wizard of Oz. And one of the biggest life questions is, which direction do I go? Where do I begin? Do I need to see an integrative doctor? Do I need to see my family doctor? Should I start working out? Should I start with my nutrition? Should I start with just practicing some mindfulness meditation for stress reduction? Where do I start? What do I do? Take a really good look at this picture. Follow the yellow brick road. Did anybody notice that there are multiple directions. Remember the scene with the scarecrow and she's at the fork in the road and they're dancing around and they're looking which way they're going to go and they're like, okay, that way. The good news is there is no mistake. Just start somewhere. And that momentum will build and build and build, and it will build your success. You can always shift directions if something's not working, right? It's not written in stone. And that's the great news. That's good news. So if you're drinking a lot of soda, switch to water. Just make one little change. One little change is all it takes to get started. Just do it. Pick something. Anything. Doesn't matter. And that's the cool thing. You get to do this your way. And the patients that I found that are the most successful in shifting their health are ones who personalized it. They're wonderful, wonderful client who doesn't mind if I share this. I hate exercise. I'm not doing it. I hate it. No, you don't understand, Dr. LaSalle. I hate exercise. Okay? Well, then let's not call it exercise. Let's call it movement, and you think about it and get back to me. The power of words, right? So, a couple visits later, she comes in. Dr. LaSalle, I'm so excited. Guess what? Guess what? I found something I like. And it was these wonderful videos that she'd seen on, I think she'd seen it initially on Facebook and YouTube, called Body Groove. That was more of a dance kind of thing. This funky gal with these dreadlocks dancing around to this music. Okay, do our funky walk. Okay, put some arms in it, folks. Yeah! That's not exercise. That's having fun. That's playtime, right? Find your playtime. Find something that lights you up, that you're excited about, that you want to do. It doesn't matter what it is, okay? And that's the cool thing. You get to do it your way. So work-life balance. We hear a lot about work-life balance, right? So what do you think about work-life balance? What do you think about it? There we go. Somebody said it doesn't exist, right? Oops, wrong button. That's right. Work-life balance does not exist. It doesn't. Not the way we're looking at it. We're trying to put everything into one single day, right? We're trying to be balanced in our relationships, in our work life, in our home life, and do the laundry, and get this done, and go to the grocery, and get the kids picked up, and da-da-da-da-da. We're trying to do this all in one day. You know what? It's okay if you choose to focus on your career on Tuesday, and on Wednesday, it's about the kids. It's okay to do that. What you need to take a look at is the balance over time. Okay, we expect instant results. We expect to have this down right now. And you know what? I'm sorry, honey, it does not happen that way. It doesn't. It doesn't. So it's okay for you to have a focus for the day. And when you go back to that wellness wheel, it's going to look a little flat. You know, last week might have been all about getting that month-end project completed, right? So planning some recreational time, having some time on the calendar as you look long-term is really, really important. And in fact, the best strategy is to pulse your behaviors. I love an organization here in our community. Brenda Jank started Run Hard, Rest Well. And her whole concept of this is pacing yourself and then giving yourself some rest. It's about keeping the Sabbath is what it was based upon. So it's based upon a biblical principle of taking a look at time away to rejuvenate. And the answer is finding things that really light you up and rejuvenate you, that refresh you. And some of us are innies and some of us are outies, okay? Some of us need to be around people and that charges us, and other people, I'm sorry, I just need to be away from you for a little bit. All right? Some of us are introverts, and that's okay. And part of fatigue can be that you've been on for too long. You need a break, and it's okay to step away and rejuvenate yourself. The key thing is know yourself and know what you need. And it's okay to run hard and then rest well. I love the name of that organization. It's so perfect. And if you look scripturally, every time Jesus did a major presentation in healing, what did he do? He disappeared. He went off and meditated and prayed and fasted and rejuvenated himself. He needed that. So if he needed that, I needed to. And so do you. Find your tribe. Look around this wonderful room of these amazing women around you. Mentors and cohorts and supporters and cheerleaders. And we can be there for one another. So if there's a skill set you feel like you're lacking, you know what? Go find somebody in the community who's done that already and go talk to them. That was a major part of my learning how to build a business. I'm a doctor. I don't know anything about business. I had to learn. And when I went to Indianapolis to set up my practice, which was more of a concierge fee-for-service style, it was just me. I had to learn how to do payroll taxes. I had to learn how to do all the financial stuff and all that. And boy, that is not my forte. Remember, I'm not good at math. All right? But I had to find resources. So you're not alone, and remember that you're not alone. Take a look at failure as being only a temporary change in direction. Grab every lesson that you learn. There is nothing wrong with failing, and in fact, if you're not failing at something, you're not being bold enough. Right? You can't be good at everything. You have to try, you have to learn. We didn't learn how to ride a bike without scraping our knee, right? Anytime you learn a new skill, expect failure. And don't put any judgment on that. You're just learning a skill. That's the process of learning a skill. And it's very, very important. And do not be hard on yourself about that. There are going to be things that go great, and there are going to be things that don't go well at all. And it's all okay. Straight roads don't make skillful drivers. The other thing is success in anything is never a straight line. And sometimes those switchback curves will take you back to almost the point that you started at, right? But that doesn't mean that you've lost progress. It does not mean you've lost progress. So just keep that in mind. We've had so many delays, so many things that have happened in like building our business and things that we didn't expect or things we thought we were going to be able to do and not yet. The other secret is no. Doesn't mean never. It means not right now. Right? So you hang in there, figure out the why behind the no, figure out what the needs are, make a shift. And then wait. Wait for the opportunity. One of the neatest things that a colleague of mine gave me was a book called The Dream Giver. He said, Angie, you're an entrepreneur at heart. You need to read this book. This book is written as a little parable about Ordinary. I'm going to be a little spoiler here. Who wakes up one day with a dream. And it talks about his journey as he goes out to seek his dream. And he's surprised at the border buddies who come along and help him. And he is shocked at the bullies who try to stop him. And sometimes those are the people that were closest to him. People move frequently out of fear. When you're changing, that scares people sometimes. So sometimes reassuring your husband and your children or your family or your friends that I'm still here for you. We're still going to have family dinners. Guess what? I'm going to research some recipes and we're going to find something that we both like together. But we both can be healthy together. So be that cheerleader, be that leader in your space, but don't allow it to stop you. You have to have a solid foundation. You cannot build a house, no matter how beautiful the blueprint is, if you don't pay attention to the foundation. And in lifestyle medicine, there are 4 foundational fixes. and 4 foundational fixes only. So with all of our fancy medications and our treatments and all of this, if we don't pay attention to the foundation of nutrition, exercise, movement, sleep, and your mindset and your beliefs and your stress levels, then everything else we build is a house of cards. It's that broken, lopsided foundation. It'll put a Band-Aid on it for a while, but it's not going to be the fix that you desire. So keep it simple and keep it short. Again, back to Elizabeth's presentation, all of those useless words. So whether it's a business presentation where you're being very wordy about it and it's impossible in all the rhetoric for people to figure out what you need and what the action steps are and what the timeline is, do the same thing with yourself. You don't have to make this nutrition and exercise and stress management thing so complex. You could grab a little adult coloring book and take a 5-minute break and do a little coloring. That mimics the physiologic benefits of meditation. So there's a lot of things that you can do for yourself that are just very simple. And guess what? Those little steps all add up. So keep it simple, keep it short. Start out doing maybe 10 to 15 minutes of exercise at home, in your pajamas. Make it simple. Another book that I've really appreciated is called The One Thing by Gary Keller, and he's worked with business and sports persons and whatnot, and the key thing of the psychology of this book, another spoiler, sorry, but still the book is worth reading, is to ask yourself better questions. And the question is, what is the one thing that I can do today that will make this easier or even make some of these steps unnecessary? And there usually is one thing that you could do. And again, going back to the picture of the yellow brick road, just start somewhere, pick something. Treat yourself like a fine Olympic athlete. Guess what? You have a lot on your plate and you're taking care of a lot of people and you have a lot of responsibilities. So you, even more so than somebody who's so singularly focused, needs to treat themselves like a fine Olympic athlete. That means get your sleep, you're going to feed yourself, fuel your body, you're going to manage that psychology, that sports psychology, you're going to manage it, right? It's even more important for you. So simple things. Start with one very simple thing. Make sure that you're getting enough water. Your cells need water. They need to be hydrated. It helps your cellular connections. So that's a great first step. So if you drink a lot of coffee, if you're drinking soda, change what you're drinking. Easy. Get to bed on time. Stop burning the candle at both ends. It's unsustainable. There comes a point of negative return on your productivity. Try to get your sleep. And if you're suspecting that you have some sleep issues, check with your doctor. Sleep apnea is a very, very common problem, and untreated can lead you down the path to many, many chronic diseases. So if you're not sleeping well, meet with your clinician and try to brainstorm and problem solve that. You need to rest. This is our integrative super plate that we hand out. So set your plate up right. If you'll notice, half of it is vegetables with some proteins, some healthy fats, and lower glycemic carbs. So a whole grain looks like a whole grain going into the pot and looks like a whole grain coming out of the pot. And we don't put the whole plate of rice and put a few vegetables on top. All right? Flip that ratio. Flip it. Okay? This is really powerful. This is a wonderful study that they did. This works for all of us. 20-minute walk, folks, and that's the difference in your brain chemistry. So it doesn't take much. 20-minute walk. That's it. And those brain chemistry changes will last for hours. And this is why I love pictures. Pictures just say so much, right? I think this one says a lot. If you'll notice, those prefrontal cortex, that green area up at the top, up in the forehead area, this is the area that manages your concentration and your decision making. So if you want to make better decisions about your health, take a 20-minute walk. You're going to make better decisions over time because that's going to light up that prefrontal cortex. You have sugar cravings, all of those things, certain foods that are triggers for you, go take a walk. It'll help you to come back and make a better decision. So, what we fear most is usually what we need to do. So, what is it about your health that is causing fear? What is it? Ask yourself that. And maybe consider starting there to make a plan. Same thing in business. What's the biggest project that you have to tackle? What's the thing that you'd like the least to do? Get it done and get it out of the way, okay? Slow down and be present. How many here right now, this minute, are worried about their kids at school? Thinking about something that's going on at home? Something that's going on back at the office? You can't be in two places at one time. You cannot multitask. It is a myth. And what happens is you torture yourself. So you're never in the right place because your head won't be quiet. So as you practice mindfulness, as you be present where you are, there's nothing you can do about those other things in this second. What you can do is be efficient here, right now. And this is a practice. It is something that you need to do over and over again. This is not something that comes naturally to us. Understand that negative dialogue, our brain will always default to the negative and it will always talk back to us. We need to lean on each other. And I hope with today's presentation, this opens some conversation, maybe among you, the women present here, and to your friends and to other women that you know about this information, to get the word out, support each other in the process. It is very key. Find an accountability partner. Studies have shown that that sense of community and connection is what helps with our longevity. It's absolutely essential. And celebrate your victories. Celebrate yours, celebrate others. All of the little things that happen. It doesn't matter. If you say, hey, you know what? I got an extra glass of water today. Great. I took my 20-minute walk. Great. Set yourself up for success. Get your walking shoes at the office. And then over your lunch break, go take a stroll. All right? Ditch the high heels. They're bad for your ankles anyways, right? They just cause orthopedic doctors and podiatrists to make more money, right? No, just kidding. All right, you got this. You got this. And back to Dorothy in her ruby red slippers. If you remember at the end of the movie, what did Glinda tell her? You've had the power all along. This is not a new skill set. You are problem solvers in all the venues of your life that you move through. You know how to solve problems. It's about taking those skills and putting it into this realm and being intentional. And do what you can do for yourself, right? Okay, superwomen. This is about being the woman of wonder. And what happens when you hit this flow and you start problem solving and thinking differently, you're shocked at what just happens right in front of you. Again, whether it's business relationships, your health, you'll be surprised at the benefits that you're going to get out of what seemed to be such a simple change. Just changing the way you speak to yourself. Simple. But understand, it will always default to the negative, so you got to keep on it. And that's important. Be kind to yourself and celebrate yourself and cheerlead yourself. And if you need help, here we are. Here's our team. Dr. Helfgott, Dr. Menzer, and myself, and our physician's assistant, Brianna, our nurse practitioner, Dee, and Sarah, and our nutritionist, Luann. If you need help, give us a call. We're here. Touch base with your family medicine provider. Get help where you need it, and go for it. And again, you got this. Thank you.